Hello everybody, and welcome to Hungary's favorite language learning video blog. I'm your host, Michael Lyons. As you can see, we have a special guest with us for today's video. Bálint Kőrösi of Öt év öt nyelv, right? Has joined us, and we're going to talk a little bit about this very special and exciting project that he's been working on for a few years and documenting in the form of a blog and a website, right? Am I right?
Blog, yeah.
And a blog.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a little bit, look a little bit at what this means for those of you out there learning English or any other language, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bálint, tell us about this project. Where did this idea come from to learn, I don't know, 5 languages in 5 years?
I read a very interesting book about 6 years ago. It was from Katalomb, a very well-known Hungarian polyglot, and she made quite a few interviews with a lot of known polyglots, people who speak more than, I think, 6 languages, and I thought, that's cool. I mean, I didn't know that such people existed, and I said, I want to be one of them, and this is how it got started.
Okay, so just reading this book inspired you to to learn so many languages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And what was the exact goal when you started? I mean, the name of the website says something about the goal, but what was your exact goal when you started doing it, and how much of it were you able to achieve?
Right. I wanted to focus on mainly on spoken languages. I mean, the spoken version of foreign languages, because I think this is communication.
It's more personal.
Exactly. And so, what was the question?
So the question was, what was your exact goal when you started to the project, and how much of the goal did you actually achieve?
Right. Okay. So the goal was to speak all 5 languages on, I would say, B2 level. So
so like an upper intermediate.
Yeah.
Sort of level.
I didn't quite achieve that in all those 5 languages.
Well, tell us what the languages were first. What were the 5 languages?
Okay. I count English as one of them because at that time I knew English when I started the project, but I was afraid to speak it. The classic problem. So I learned to speak it actually, and then came Spanish, German, Chinese, and Russian. Russian Chinese, and yeah.
Okay, and then B2, this kind of upper intermediate level, was the goal, and percentage-wise, let's say, how successful were you?
I don't.
If you can quantify it, it's languages.
Yeah,
I use
percentages, but it doesn't work. But if you have to say, if I have to say something, then I would say that my English is quite good. I would say my passive Spanish is quite good. I'm working on my German, so it's almost B2. I can read basic Chinese, and I already forgot Russian, so I can dabble in it. But
well, that means you had something to forget, right? That's
exactly.
that's a good sign. Okay, so you learned, first of all, let's say 5 languages, or you improved your knowledge in 5 languages significantly. I think it's fair to say that, right?
Yeah.
And what did you learn from the process of spending 5 years learning these languages? Well,
a lot, especially about myself, motivation and persistency.
Okay.
And I can say that I learned to learn, and this is the most one of the most important things, I think, because I can apply it to other things. So the methodology is applicable to other things. Like,
so not only have you learned to learn languages, but you've learned to learn basically almost anything, no? A little bit.
I would say yes. Yes.
Okay, so these are valuable skills to have in life. Could you share a couple of these key lessons with us that maybe, like I said, people learning English or learning other foreign languages could put into practice?
Yeah, sure.
In their own everyday lives?
Gladly. I don't think that it's a good idea to always look forward. Sometimes you have to just look backwards, because as one of my favorite quotes from Churchill is that plans never work, but they are invaluable.
Invaluable, yeah?
Yeah, I can't even pronounce that, okay.
That's okay, my word in Hungarian is értesít, right? That's what, if I'm under pressure and I have to say it, I always, you know,
yeah,
so
okay.
Everybody has those words.
Yeah, so I find that a lot of people have trouble with motivation, and I think to motivate yourself is, to do that, it's best to look backwards and to see how far you've come. And
yes,
many people forget that.
That's true. That's true. And what was the quote? It was plans are invaluable.
Plans never work, but planning is invaluable. Got it.
That's the quote. See, it just takes some persistence, right?
Yeah.
That's a very good quotation. So I think it's important to look forward, but if you only look forward, then you always frustrate yourself.
Yeah.
So it is important to stop, take a look
exactly.
at how far you've come, and appreciate that, and enjoy kind of the fruit of your labor. Okay, very, very good. What do you think about this? You hear this sometimes, that, you know, well, it's easy for you, or it's easy for her or him, because, you know, he or she has a knack for languages, right? She's talented at languages, and this type of thing. Do you think that's true? Do you think there are some people that are just talented with language, it's easy for them, and other people are just hopeless, or do you think there are other factors involved?
Okay, that's a question I always get. And then I always ask back, what do you mean by talent? I'm not really sure that exists. I believe in experience. I can say that after spending 5 years learning languages, I do know how to approach a new language, so that makes me more talented. I don't think so.
It's just, a lot of it is just the experience from having learned other languages.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, you know, people who have a knack for languages, as they say, but I don't know. I think it's a set of skills that they acquired through their life that they can apply to language learning, and this is why they are good.
Okay, okay. So you think what a lot of people refer to as talent is just kind of experience or skills that they've developed in other areas of their lives, and they're able to apply it towards.
Yeah, I don't think that you can show me one person who you give a 100-word list to them, and then they will know it in 5 minutes.
Like that.
There's no such
It's interesting
people.
because, for example, in basketball and sports, Michael Jordan was a big hero of mine when I was a kid growing up, and a lot of people referred to him as this amazingly talented athlete. And there may be some truth to that, but coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, he was also one of the first professional players in the NBA who trained all year round.
Yeah.
Like the other guys would just go on summer holiday and say, you know, I'm done for the year, I've done my share. And he would just continue training through the summer, you know? And people would watch him get these amazing results. Say, oh, he's talented, it's easier. Well, you know, these other guys were kicking back on the beach, and he was still, you know, training all year round. So I would kind of agree with that. And this kind of brings me to the next question. In your experience, what does success in language learning depend on? If you had to name one thing.
One thing, persistency.
Okay. Okay. So just not giving up, continuing to do it, even on the days when you don't necessarily really feel like it, but just
then just drop it for the day. But don't. So if you put in, I don't know, when say 1,000 hours into Chinese, you will learn something. If you put 10,000 hours into Chinese, then you will learn even more. So it's impossible not to learn if you put in the time.
Okay. So the time, and then going back to how you know, get yourself to do all of this, I think a lot of it is just is motivation, no? I mean, are you motivated or not? Okay. And here is a common question I'm sure you get on the blog as well. People write this all the time. One of the most common things, right, people say about learning languages is, yes, I'd love to learn German, I'd love to learn Spanish, whatever, I'm interested in it. I just don't have the time, right? What advice would you give to them? How can they go about building language learning into their daily routines?
First of all, stop complaining. That's never going to work.
Okay, and on a positive note, what should they do instead of complaining?
Yeah, that's right. So I think it all comes down to a bit of time management. If you can organize your time, it's all good. I mean, everyone has 24 hours, and still there are people who are more successful, more productive, it just means that they organize their time better. And yeah, it's a skill. It's an acquirable skill. But it's a necessary skill, especially in 2014.
So yeah, true, not just for language learning, but for anything, balancing
exactly.
work, family, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think no matter what you do, you have to learn these skills, these time management skills.
Yeah, and it will be good for you.
Okay.
I would also like to point out that people, when they think that they don't have time to learn a language, people usually associate that with going to a language school, spending I don't know, 2-3 hours per day there, I don't know, 2-3 times a week. Well, that's a lot, yes, but you don't have to do that. Most of my study time consists of 10-20 minutes of blocks and scattered through the day. And this is how I can put an hour or two a day into language learning. And that's all good. So you don't have to have a lot of time.
So you don't have to sit down for 3 hours at a time
No.
and tell the family and the kids and the dog and everybody to go away.
It certainly helps if you can dedicate an hour a day, but if you can't, then
20 minutes is better than nothing, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And what about we tell students sometimes to do some of the things that they're doing anyway, but just to do them in the language they're learning. So if you're learning English, you know, we say, okay, change the language in your smartphone to English, or the software you're using at work, or you know, watch movies and things like that in English, right? Or I'm trying to think of some other examples of things. Instead of reading or browsing, you know, index, right? Read BBC or something like that. So that doesn't require extra time, right? Taken away from family or work, but just to do what you'd be doing anyway, but just do it in English. Would you agree with that?
I would, but I also have to add that after a certain level.
After a certain level, of course.
Yeah,
of course, absolutely.
Because many people think that, oh, I'm just going to change my computer to English and then I'll... no, it's...
Right. Okay, so you should have some words first before, you know. Okay. And then finally, here's one more question kind of related to the time management thing. If somebody wants to focus on learning, say, one language to a high level, how much time do you think it's necessary to spend every week? How much time in class with a teacher or a conversation partner, and how much time outside of that to reach a high level of confidence in a foreign language?
Okay, how much time do you have? I mean, how long do you have?
Okay, so what's your goal, right? In what amount of time would you like to learn? Okay, that's a fair enough question. Okay, but as a general rule, if you can say that exists.
I would say that if you can put in a 30 minutes every day, then it's very good. And you give yourself a day off on Sundays, but that will get you far. Minimum
30 minutes a day, and then have one rest day when you just...
Yeah. And if you know how and what to study, then it will pay off.
Okay, so you have to be focused and efficient, targeted about the way you're studying things?
And you have to be rested, well-fed, beautiful, smart.
Okay, and then from what you're saying, it seems to me that you consider, and I would agree with you, you consider it more effective to sit down several times for a shorter amount of time than once a month or once a week for an hour, hour and a half, and then for several days nothing.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Because this is how our brains work. Yeah, this is how we learn. We have to repeat things, and if you just sit down, I don't know, for 2 hours once a month, it's
not going to work. And actually, a lot of people do this in sports as well. They don't do anything all week, and then on the weekend they go, you know, and try to run a marathon or something. We call them weekend warriors. There's an actual expression for this. And they're the first people to injure themselves and then not be able to do anything for 2 months or something like that. So, okay. That's more or less what I wanted to cover today. One last thing. Can you think of any language exercise that you would sort of, or technique, language speaking, learning technique that you would kind of share with people learning English or other languages?
Yeah, speak it.
just like that, with whatever knowledge you have.
Because many people confuses practice with learning, and I get questions like, so what sort of book should I learn from if I want to speak English confidently? I have no idea.
And you think it has nothing to do with that? You just have to take
if you listen to the question, it doesn't make any sense. If you want to speak, you have to speak. The trick is to create opportunities where you can actually practice on your own level with nice people. Finding nice people is very, very important.
So you should have an interesting teacher, an interesting conversation partner,
Exactly.
or just be studying things that you're interested in or reading or
Exactly.
so forth. Okay,
Exactly.
I can agree with that. I can absolutely agree with that. Okay, well, Balint, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us.
Thanks
Thank you
very
for
much.
joining us. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Remember to like us and share us on Facebook, spread the word to your friends, and feel free to post your comments underneath the video, and to follow Balint and his adventures, continued adventures in language learning. Check out his blog and his Facebook page, right? You have a Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time. Cheers.
See you guys.